Hey guys, I'm going to come at you with a review for a movie I watched last night that I was looking pretty forward to, and that's 1031, put out by Red Letter Entertainment. And I had only got this really because I heard the director of The Barn had his hand in this movie, and he directed the first segment, which is the strongest segment of all of them. But essentially, this is an anthology that takes place on Halloween night, like Trick or Treat, and it has a framing story. You know, these two kids watching like a horror marathon hosted by some Elvira-like woman. And she's introducing these stories. And the first one, directed by the director of The Barn, the first story is called The Old Hag, and it feels really Halloween-like. I don't want to go into major plot points with it, but essentially it has two actors from The Barn too, the black kid and the main kid from The Barn, they're really likable. They have good personalities and everything. But they are like a low-budget production company, and they want to shoot a commercial for this like bed and breakfast thing on Halloween night. So they go to this bed and breakfast, and it's just the owner of this place, and she says, "Can you guys shoot tonight?" And she's real pushy with shooting tonight. So you know off rip there's something really weird about her and this whole situation. And they're throughout filming the commercial, one black kid keeps seeing this like old woman, and they bring it up to the hotel owner. And she says, yeah, you know, customers or whatever have talked about seeing a really old woman and all that, but it's all legend and all this and that. And that's all I want to give away as far as that story goes. It was really kind of creepy. It had a whole lot of atmosphere. It felt really Halloween-like, and it was just one of the strongest short horror segments I've seen in an anthology film. And that short was worth the price alone for this movie. And the second segment was like a killer scarecrow segment that was actually really well done. This couple, they're on a first date on Halloween night, and they see a shitty movie, so they want to amp up the scares. So they have the idea of, let's go to this haunted house that has this town legend that this cult lived in this house, and they were ran out by the town people, and they put up this scarecrow in this house, and anybody who tries to move in the house gets killed by the scarecrow and drives all the owners crazy and all that. And they go around messing with the scarecrow, and basically bad things ensue. That's all I want to give away as far as that story goes. It was a really strong segment too, you know what I mean? This was the second one in, and it was really strong. I was really high on this movie after watching that second segment. I was really stoked. Yeah, so it was really solid. And then the third one was the weakest out of the whole movie, but it was still pretty good as far as the whole atmosphere and everything goes, because this whole movie has like an 80s throwback feel, just like The Barn did. And I think that was intentionally just because they knew how well The Barn did. And that 80s kind of retro stuff is really popping right now. But the third one, it's this girl and her younger brother. They go to this skating rink for a Halloween party, and there's this guy who's kind of killing people on this skating rink and all that. And it was the weakest story just because the ending of it got kind of really far-fetched, but it had like a Scanners-esque type feel towards the end of it. And if you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean by that. There's a big head explosion that's really cool. But yeah, it was the weakest of the whole movie, but it was pretty strong though. So that goes to tell you this movie is really solid. And it is a low budget film, but it's really well done. It's one of the top. I was telling my buddy this is probably like the best anthology film, but after sleeping on it and thinking about it, it's in the top 3. It's not the best anthology film I've seen, but it's definitely the top 3. Like Halloween this year, I'll definitely be busting this thing out again for sure. And the fourth story is done by the director of Bone Jangles, which I actually have. I gotta watch. I'll do a review for in the next few days. But I'm pretty excited to see that movie. So I was surprised that the director of that did a short on this, and it was called The Blizzard of 91. And it's really cool because it adds a Christmas vibe to it. So if you watch this on Halloween, it'll kind of prep you for Christmas too, because it's a horror thing where it takes place in 91, obviously. These trick-or-treaters are snowed in this blizzard, and I don't want to give anything away, but let's just say like a Santa Claus appears, and it's kind of creepy. And it was a pretty solid story. And the last short on this is directed by Rocky Gray, who is the drummer of Evanescence, and he does the whole soundtrack on this movie, and he scored The Barn too. And that's like one of the highlights of this and The Barn, is the fact the soundtrack is just really retro, really creepy. But it's called the Samhain Slasher, and it's this guy who's slashing people on Halloween. And there's this like party going on that these teenagers are throwing, and he's just slashing people away, just like the title says. I don't want to give anything away about that. That story is pretty solid. It's kind of messy though. There's a lot of things happening in this story in such a short period of time, to where it's pretty good. It's not the strongest in the movie, but it's pretty solid, you know. And that's the last of it. Then it ends with the wraparound. I don't want to give anything away there, because nothing a whole lot happens in the wraparound, but the fact that it frames it all together with this Elvira type thing is pretty retro, pretty nostalgic feeling. But yeah, I give this movie an 8.5 out of 10, just because it flew by, highly entertaining, just oozes with Halloween kind of. It just oozes with Halloween feeling, you know what I mean? Like, this is definitely a Halloween staple now. I'll double feature this in the barn every Halloween night now for sure. I can't say which one I like better. I love the barn, but I love this too, for like two totally different reasons. So, you know, it's one of those things where you got to watch them back to back. That's a perfect double feature for a Halloween night. And you know, to be honest, if I had to have one in my collection, either this or Trick or Treat, I'm picking this. And I know that may be blasphemy to people, just because so many people consider Trick or Treat the end-all, be-all Halloween movies. But I think this was a better done anthology film. I mean, the budget was a little lower, but, you know, with the soundtrack and just the originality of the stories and the strength of the first story alone by the Barn director is make this better to me than Trick or Treat. But, yeah, definitely pick this up. I mean, I don't know if it's available on Amazon. It may be, but I know if you buy this at like Grindhouse Video or something, you can get it for like 15, 16 bucks. Because I know the Barn, if you buy it on Amazon, it's like 35 bucks. But if you buy it from Red Letter Entertainment's site or Grindhouse Video, it's only 20. So I think this is like 15 or 16, but it's probably like 25 on Amazon. So yeah, you definitely want to look for this on like a more mom and pop type site, because you'll get it cheaper for some reason. But yeah, highest recommendation on this Halloween staple. Really awesome movie. But anyways, guys, peace.